All right, hey everybody, I'm Scott Huntsman with Asher Leisure and Tunex, and down here at the UVU Car Show, and we wander around to get all kinds of cool cars that we look at. And me being a drag racer and having a drag racing history, you know, I always catch cars that I can tell are built for competition. They're built to go fast. You know, they've got some sort of a great cage in them. They got some great big power in them. But this isn't a drag racing car.
No,
this looks like something I would probably expect to see on the salt flats. Are we correct?
Yes, it is.
Your shirt doesn't give it away or anything, saying save the salt. You
Not
know,
at all.
We need to still be saving the salt. I wish they would still do it.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
Absolutely.
tell me a little bit about this, because this seems like this is a multi-generational project.
It is. We're actually a 3-generation team. My father, myself, and my son. We've called the team, it's called Pop's Pride Racing, named after my dad, because he's our inspiration for doing this. We wouldn't be doing this without him.
Nice.
He's been going to the salt flats for 60 plus years. He was out there in 1960 when Mickey Thompson went 406 miles an hour. So,
wow.
The salt
vintage times.
Very vintage.
Oh yes.
Times. Yeah,
Oh yes.
The salt bug hit us at a very young age.
Yeah.
And I took him out to his first meet on the salt flats when he was 5 years old.
You were 5 years old running around on the salt flats.
5 years
and
old.
then, you know, so I have to ask this. I know that you drive the car, and you've driven the car.
Yes, sir.
So when you were 5 years old, your dad took you out there the first time. What'd you ever dream of doing? Did you dream of doing something like that?
Yes. Since my first trip out in 2006, like you said, when I was 5, my one and only goal, and I didn't know how I was going to do it, but it just had to get it done, was to build this.
I think it's awesome. So it's a dream come true.
Absolutely.
And for you,
Yes,
because it was probably a very similar story with your father. You were very young.
Yep.
Well, tell us about the car. What is it?
It's a 1980 Chevy Camaro that we've converted into a full-on, all-out assault Bonneville Salt Flats car.
Okay.
It's got a 489 cubic inch big block Chevy in it, running between 750 and 800 horsepower.
Okay, cool. And what kind of, tell me this, I mean, you know, obviously in the salt flats there are so many different classifications and different classes. What do we run in?
We run in A classic gas altered.
Okay. Which must have a record set in that. And what's the record speed?
246.063.
Okay. So here's the $1 million question. What have you guys gone with this?
The car's actually run 226 miles an hour at El Mirage Dry Lake in California. It has not actually run on the salt flats yet.
Oh, okay.
So this will be the first year to try it out up here. Realistically, I think the first meet we're going to try for about 200.
Okay.
And shoot for that as a good goal, and then go from there.
And work it.
Right.
Tune it for that.
Absolutely.
Tell me what you would expect the difference between the conditions at El Mirage and running on the salt. What's the difference between the two?
You have a little bit better traction at Bonneville than El Mirage. El Mirage is a dry lake bed, so it's an alkali playa. The salt is obviously the salt.
Sure.
It's a little bit rougher texture.
Yes.
A little bit better traction.
So a little bit better hookup on the salt, because the tires you got, I'm a drag racer, so I'm used to great big old fat meaty slicks that'll really bite that track, but I don't think that's the case with this.
No, sir.
These are just, these rear tires are only just, what are they, about 9 inches?
9 inches wide.
9 inches wide, so there's not a lot of bite. You know, I belong to the 150 mile an hour club.
Good for you.
Yes.
And that's not easy to do on a short course, because traction was the hardest thing. So to get this thing up to 200, tell me a little bit maybe about, if you're willing to give the technique. There's got to be a little bit of throttle control.
It's absolutely throttle control.
There's no electronics allowed with traction control.
Correct.
Is that right?
We're not allowed to run electronics in the class that we're in,
Right.
in terms of traction control. So the only electronics we're really allowed to run is data acquisition, but not engine management or control.
Nothing that will make an actual change to the vehicle and to its ability to get hooked up. But
exactly.
keep going. I'm loving this.
We have a 4-speed transmission.
Okay.
It's actually a Ford top loader. I have like a Mustang.
Okay.
So it's kind of a weird deal, but it works, and the transmission is a little bit stronger than the factory GM transmission, so that's why it's in the car.
Sure.
We have a really high gear in it. It's actually got a
275
rear ring and pinion gear in it,
Okay.
so it's geared for speed.
Yes.
It's actually geared so high that we have to push off with a truck.
So you do
to get
push off with the vehicle
Yes,
to
we
get
do.
the initial. About what kind of speed are you achieving with the push vehicle?
hopefully about 40, 45 miles
Okay.
an hour. So it's not a lot, but it's
And that's
just
about the time you let the clutch out in first gear.
Right.
So
Let
to
the clutch
put
out and
everything
let it
into
eat.
perspective, while you're doing this, you're getting a push, get going 50, then you decide to take your foot off the clutch pedal, and then actually start going. So that gives you kind of an idea of what happens while you're driving
Absolutely.
a land speed car.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. What kind of RPM is going to be your target for max torque?
About 7,000.
Okay. So that about the point where you would make your shifts, take it up to 7. I guess you just kind of work it accordingly to whatever the conditions are allowing you at that time.
Absolutely.
Because at 7,000, it's making that's where that engine's making its peak horsepower
Yes, sir.
and torque,
Yes,
like
it
we
is.
say. So I guess you can't really, again, I'm relating to everything to drag racing terminology.
Right.
We want to shift at peak torque because, see, I haven't done it on the Salt.
Right.
It's not a locked rear end, right? Is
No.
it still an open diff?
It's a Detroit locker, so
Okay.
it is, it does have the ability to corner, but it does have, when you're
But it primarily would stay locked, but
correct.
that probably helps keep you on a straight track.
yes, there's very much.
Well, then you're chomping at the bit.
Absolutely.
Is it
Cannot
done
wait.
and prepared?
Oh yes.
It's all ready to go. Everything is fresh and
We could take it out there tomorrow and run it.
wow.
Eventually, we will replace this engine with another engine that's going to probably have roughly double the horsepower.
Okay.
And that's when we're going to make the assault on the record that we're after.
So your goal is to be a record holder
Yes, sir.
in that
Absolutely.
class.
Yes, sir.
There's a special hat for somebody that breaks a record over 200 mile an hour, and it's a red hat with the club emblem on it. And there's a saying with that first hat is $100,000, and the second one's $10. So that's our goal.
Well, there's nobody who's a bigger fan
right.
and gonna wish you more luck, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Thank
very
than
kindly.
me myself right here, because I have a good idea these guys are going to do it, and this is going to be cool. So if you get out on the salt flats and you're going to be out there for Speed Week, it can be a world of speed too.
Yes,
Oh,
sir,
yes, sir.
absolutely.
If we get her there, they don't get it done at the first, they'll go to the second. But good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very kindly.
You betcha.